Okay. Nice. All right. All set up. Looking good. Woo. All right. Well, I'm really happy because today is my 50 subscriber special. So, um, about a couple of days ago, I want to say like maybe 2 or 3 days ago or something like that. Hey, Braden, good to see you, man. First one in. About 2 or 3 days ago, I want to say it was about 2 or 3 days ago when I realized it. I hit my 50 subscribers, and I know that's not this huge number, but I really wanted to celebrate because that's a big stepping stone for me. I made it to 50 subscribers, which means there are 50 people that are regularly enjoying my content, which is awesome. And I really wanted to celebrate that. I wanted to like make that this big milestone. And I mean, from here on out, hey Wrath of Wood, good to see you. Thank you for coming in. Um, so I mean, from here on out, I'm only going to be celebrating every 100 subscribers or so. And then when I hit 1,000, I'll do it by the 1,000 and things like that. But for now, we're just kind of taking baby steps and nice and slow. And I was just really, really excited that I made it to 50 subscribers, so I really wanted to do something special. And I had been for the last few weeks, kind of like, well, few weeks, what am I talking about? For the last few days is what I meant to say. When I found out that I hit 50 subscribers, I wanted to do something really different. Well, I mean, obviously, here I am still painting cards, so I mean, not super different. But I wanted to do something other than just a regular old, what's it called? A regular old extended art. And I wanted to do a special full altar. And so I actually brainstormed all of this last night. I was walking home from work, and I knew that I wanted to do a stream, and I knew I wanted to do my 50 subscriber stream. And I figured out that what I wanted to do was I wanted to do a piece of power. And I've actually done a piece of power in the past, but I've never done one on stream. The piece of power that I've altered in the past was I did a Black Lotus, which is like my favorite piece. It's very special to me. I keep it in the back. It's like all mounted up and looks really nice. Maybe someday I'll frame it. Who knows? But what I wanted to do was I was kind of picking through, like I was thinking really hard, and I kind of realized that I really wanted to do Time Walk. And I just kind of thought it would be this really cool idea that I would pick Time Walk because this is like my first ever subscriber special. And I kind of had this idea that I was, looking towards the future and planning to get this channel to get bigger and bigger. And I thought that it would be a really cool form of symbolism to alter a time walk. And oh, the card underneath, it's a piece of crap. If you're actually wondering what the card is that I picked, I think it's called like it was basically the only. I was flipping through a whole bunch of two like cards in my collection, desperately trying to find a two blue mana sorcery card, and the best I could find, I think it was called. It's either called like Trap Finder's Trick or Trap Finder's Snare, and it's like this really crappy common card from the first Zendikar set. Um, Terrible card, like totally unplayable, completely unplayable card. It basically, like, I mean, it's a two mana sorcery that says target player reveals their hand. That player discards all trap cards from their hand. And awful card. Totally unusable. It was barely usable in the set that it was printed in, and then it has absolutely no use whatsoever at all anymore. So I was like, I'm painting over this piece of shit. And it was like the first two mana sorcery blue card I could find. And I was like, yeah, I'm throwing this under the paintbrush because I don't give a crap about it. But yeah, like I picked Time Walk because I thought it would be this really cool way to look into the future, it was really symbolistic of like how I feel going forward with this channel as it is currently. Like, I think that things are going to get better, and it's, this channel is going to get much bigger the harder I work on it. And I just wanted to paint um, a card that was able to encapsulate that idea, like looking into the future and moving forward and getting bigger and things like that. So yeah, it does. Time Walk does have really cool art. I actually have my cards here in front of me to reference. I have a basic idea of what I want. Normally, when I do a complicated altar like this, I like to sketch it out. And what was happening was I was working on a sketch last night, and I worked on a sketch this morning, and they didn't really look the way that I wanted them to look. So I kind of have been, like, no joke, within the hour before, like, I had painted this up to get ready to do this card. And within the hour of, like, doing that, I came up with how I think I want it to look. And so I don't really have a reference point. I'm just using cards as reference points. I don't have a sketch to go off of, which is normally what I like to do. So for anybody that is curious, I have my Walk the Aeons here. I have 2 copies of this card, and let me kind of zoom out so you guys can see it just a little bit better. I love this card. First of all, it's obscenely powerful. Second of all, the artwork is beautiful. It's so, it takes iconic Time Walk art and just takes it like 3 steps further. Beautiful, beautiful artwork. So I have this here as a reference point. I also have a bigger blown up version of it on my computer, so I can kind of look at it as a reference piece. The only thing I'm really going to be using it to reference is pretty much the little figures in here. I have a whole idea of what I think I want to do with this art, and the cards that I have here only just barely touch on it. So I have the Walk the Aeons here to reference, and obviously we can't do this without a time walk. So before any of you guys shit yourselves, this is not a real time walk. This is a proxy. Call back to the original. Yeah, it is. So the thing is, I don't know if you guys know this, Therese Nielsen didn't paint Walk the Aeons. It's Jeremy Jarvis. Jeremy Jarvis painted Walk the Aeons. But he did a great job at it. So I have, like I said, I have the Walk the Aeons by Jeremy Jarvis, and I have the Time Walk by Amy Weber here. Oh, that's just YouTube letting me know that I'm streaming. Thank you, YouTube, for telling me that I'm currently streaming. I appreciate it. So yeah, I have these cards here. I originally had a couple of other concepts that I wanted to do for this piece, but I kind of, like, removed them. I went through, like, 3 or 4 different cards. But I finally came to an idea that I think I really wanted to. So I don't mind breaking it down for you guys if you're curious. Yeah, in case you didn't know, you were streaming. Thank you, YouTube. I appreciate it. So let me kind of break down what I'm planning here, because I've been, like I said, this has been, yeah, it's Amy Weber. It's all good. I knew what you meant, Wrath of Wood. It's an easy mistake to make, because Amy Weber's very talented, and she's done some very obscure pieces, and then she's done like some very interesting literal pieces. So she's a very diverse artist. Hey, Bo, good to see you. Yes, in case anybody didn't know, I wanted to come on. I had to start a stream to let you guys all know that I'm streaming. So, in case you didn't know already, I am currently streaming. So, let me go ahead and break down this idea. And like I said, this has been up in the air. I had a whole bunch of different ideas that I was kind of spitballing all over the place to kind of figure out what I wanted to do. So what I think is this real life. Oh, Bo, you crack me up. I love you, dude. Okay, so this is kind of what I got going on, and like I said, I went through a whole bunch of different iterations of this, but I think I finalized what I want to do. So my idea that I want here is I'm going to put it like this so you guys can kind of see while I outline it. So what I'm planning on doing is I want to basically make like a painting of a like an antique clock. And the main thing I think I'm going to do is I'm going to make it like a half circle. I don't think I'm going to have the entire clock completed because I think that'll take up too much space. I might flesh it out differently, as I go along. Not 100% sure on it. Like I said, like I came up with this like 30, 40 minutes ago of how I wanted to do this. This is all very. I don't normally paint like this. Normally I sketch it out like multiple days ahead of time, but I kind of just, came up with this right away. But I have this idea of what I think I'm going to do is have like a half of a clock right here. And it's going to be like very antique like. You're going to see. My goal is to have it like revealed so that you can see like cogs and inner workings and things like that. And I think what I want to do is kind of have it sticking out of like the ground. If you here, let me show you the card that I'm kind of thinking about. Obviously, is in Walk the Aeons. They kind of have this very desert, like dead-looking area down here. And I think I want to kind of try to replicate that a little bit. I might change it up a bit because I have a whole bunch of weird ideas going on with this. So I want to do like this dead-looking land right here. I want it to be kind of desert-like. So there's going to be basically an antique clock where the inner workings can be seen. You're going to be able to see like the hours and the hands of the clock sticking out of like a desert-ish area. And then my plan is to have one of the little skeleton flesh guys, one of these guys. I'm planning on only painting one. I thought about painting like two or three of them, but I don't think I really want to do that. I think I'm just going to stick to only doing one of these guys. And I'm probably going to have one of them pulling on the hand of the clock. I'm not sure if I want to make him push it forward or pull it back. But he's going to be holding like one of the hands of the clock, and he's going to be either pulling it or pushing it to make it look like he is moving the clock in a way where it's like time is passing. So that's kind of like what I want to do with that. The other part of it is I want to have like I want to basically have the clock, have the little skeleton flesh guy messing around with the hands of the clock, and then I want to kind of add a dividing line across the art, probably down towards the clock. One of the ideas I had, I don't know, I kind of just came up with this a little bit ago, is I'm going to have maybe like the hand of the clock kind of like at an angle, and then have like the dividing line of the background meeting up with the hand of the clock. And the idea is that on one half of the dividing line, you're going to see a sun rising, like a sunrise. And on the other portion of the dividing line, you're going to see like night sky and like stars and like a moon and things like that. So it looks like the time cycle is directly in interaction with the clock on the art. Like I said, I only just came up with this a little bit ago. I'm kind of just saying, I'm not only informing you guys of what I'm going to be doing, but I'm kind of saying it out loud to kind of confirm with myself that this is in fact what I want to do. So I definitely want to do that. I want to have the clock. I want to have the dividing line with the sunrise and the night sky on one side and them on opposite sides. And I just now came up with this, not only because I mentioned that I wanted to do like a desert floor. I was thinking maybe it might be cooler to have the dividing line separating the sunrise and the night sky going all across the card, so that way one side is like a desert and then the other side is like grass and like plant life, maybe. So like maybe like the idea of like time is passing and like life and death, like life on one side, death on the other, you know? So I think that's what I want to do. I'm not sure. Like I said, like normally when I do this kind of stuff, I kind of have everything set in stone and I know exactly what I'm going to do. So this is like the first time I think I've done a stream where I have like no idea what I'm really doing. I'm just kind of like jumping into it and bouncing all these ideas off of what's going on. Um, well, I'm glad you guys think it sounds like a good idea. I'm just kind of, trying to figure it out as I go along. I just watched a B movie on Netflix that dealt with time variance called Time Trap. Sounds interesting. I do like time travel movies. Let me get a sip of coffee. Delicious. Um, Me and my dad are big science fiction and time travel movie fans. So, where am I going to start with this? Give me just a second. I'm going to kind of look at something here. We sometimes... sorry, I'm looking at some pictures that I'm using as reference points. I think I'm going to start with the clock first. I think that'll probably be the best way to go about this. Um, So, like, me and my dad one time did this whole thing where we were watching a bunch of, like, time travel films all back to back. And, it's so weird. I was actually thinking about this movie, like, yesterday for some reason. I can't remember the name of the movie, and I feel terrible. But, there was this movie where one of the main cast members was Haley Joel Osment. You guys know? If you guys don't know, Haley Joel, I'm pretty sure I'm saying his name correctly. Haley Joel Osment is the guy who played the little kid in The Sixth Sense, and I See Dead People and stuff like that. Um, Spoiler alert: Haley Joel Osment sees dead people. Um, Anyways, we watched this interesting time travel film where Haley Joel Osment was like, he wasn't the time traveler. It was like a story about his father, and his father was like traveling Forrest Gump's kid. Was Haley Joel Osment Forrest Gump's kid? I actually don't remember that. That's crazy. Um, I think, okay, I need to get some colors started here. Um, the whole story was centered. I can't remember the name of the movie, but the whole story was centered around Haley Joel Osment's father, who was a different actor, was like a time traveler, and oh god, it was like this story about um, his father like figured out how to time travel, and like he was like a professor in a laboratory, like in a university or something, and he figured out how time travel worked. And like he's like, "Oh, I'm going to experiment and like, do this thing where like I travel into the future and I'll only be gone for like a minute or two." And then like he like leaves and then something goes wrong and he gets trapped. And then like he doesn't know how to get back, and like his son figures out how to time travel too, which is played by Haley Joel Osment. And I think I'm at the end of my yellow. I might have to crack open my new yellow. And it was a really weird movie. Like there's only one part of that movie that. Oh no, you're just in time, Pink Peacock. I pretty much just started. I'm not even a minute in yet. We're oh. I just dipped my hand in black paint. Damn it. We're off to a great start. I have no yellow. I dipped my hand in black paint. Ugh. But yeah, the only thing I remember, like, about that movie, like, that I can actually remember is, Haley Joel Osment dies in that movie in a really weird way. And it was so strange how they did it. And, like, I just remember, like, seeing him die And like this probably sounds terrible. I remember watching his death occur and I laughed at it because it was so silly. Like it was really really strange. And the whole point was that like he doesn't like I've already kind of spoiled that he dies, but like he doesn't actually die. So like it was all like a ruse to get his father to do something with his time traveling. It was a very strange movie. Like, and I was just like, I think I remember laughing about it because it made me think of. Have you ever seen the movie Pay It Forward, which also had Haley Joel Osment in it? Um, the there was like I had kind of this joke, which is like not true, about Haley Joel Osment that like he always dies in every movie. And I remember like before he died in that time travel movie, um, before his character died in that movie, I immediately said, "Oh, Haley Joel Osment is in this movie. He's probably going to die." That was like what I said, and sure enough, in the movie, he died. So I just thought it was really hilarious. If I can remember it, I'll let you guys know. If I went ahead and I sent my dad a text message, I'll follow you down. Is that what it's called, Bo Falcon? The one with Haley Joel Osment in it? He's like older. He's not like a cute kid or anything. He's like a pudgy, scruffy looking man, which is really weird because like he so like imagine like Haley Joel Osment's baby face on like a full grown like pudgy scruffy man. That's what he looks like. It was quite the scene. The whole movie was just really really weird, and I kind of recall that it wasn't that great of a movie, but it's worth watching. Like it's not a bad movie like at all. Like I remember it being like relatively all right. I'm still pounding the yellow out of my paint tube. Um, but yeah, it was just really like it was. It's not a bad movie. It's relatively interesting, and like the parts that are kind of weird, you can laugh at. You know, like you don't feel like it's so stupid that you can't watch it, but you can recognize that there are some silly elements to it, and it's a fun movie. I definitely recommend it, like for sure. But I just remember like the whole thing with him dying, and I thought it was really funny. And I mean, I don't normally like I'm not a person that just laughs at random death scenes. It just was really, um, God, I destroyed this napkin by covering it in black paint. Um, but I just remember it being a relatively silly moment when he dies. But it's still good. And I remember, oh god, see, what sucks is I can't remember the names of any of these movies. If my dad was here, I did text him that I was doing a stream, so he might show up, he might not, I don't know, he might be kind of busy. Um, hmm, excuse me, I swallowed that the wrong way. That was kind of not fun. Uh, and let me get some red here too. Oh, you know what? I should go ahead and show you guys what I'm working on. That's probably what I should do. That might be the right thing to do right now. I remember watching this other movie that was like really weird. It was a time travel movie, but it was also like a slasher horror flick. And it was really I remember it being like I remember the whole movie was very interesting and it was a very engaging film. Like it was very it made you think really really hard about what was going on in the movie. But the only thing that I remember about it, other than that, is that I remember the ending was really disappointing. Like it was not, um, like it was like a movie that was filled with all sorts of twists and turns, and you never knew where it was gonna take you. But I remember, like, you get to the very end of the movie, and it's kind of like when you watch, like, a mystery flick, like when they start unraveling everything so that you can understand what was going on. I remember the unraveling process of the mystery was very disappointing. And it was, I feel bad because I can't remember the name of it, but, like, it was, by the way, I got some yellow paint here, and I got some red paint, and my goal is I'm going to make a gold color. So I'm just going to kind of work on that while we're still talking. But I remember, I just feel bad because I'm not good at remembering, like, random movies that I watch. Because me and my dad is a major movie buff. So he'll invite me over, and we'll just watch a bunch of random movies sometimes. And generally, unless they really, really blow me out of the water, I generally am not very good at remembering what they're, what movies they are and things like that. But yeah, so this time travel movie, it was like a science fiction time travel movie, but it was also a horror flick. And the whole thing was, it was about this guy who, like, um he like travels, like, the whole thing was that he travels into the future by accident. I think I remember that. He was like a random guy who had nothing to do with, like, the machinery or anything, or time traveling or anything like that. And he was just a random guy who, like, I'm slowly recalling this movie. He was a random guy who just moved into a brand new house with his wife, and a bit away from his house, there's, like, a laboratory where they're, like, doing a time travel experiment. And this guy, I'm also kind of recalling that this movie might be a foreign film. I think it might be, like, subtitled and things like that. Like, maybe it's Italian or something like that. I can't remember exactly. But this guy basically finds this laboratory. Like, I think what happened was, like, oh god, it's like his wife gets murdered, I think, and, like, he's being chased by somebody who just killed his wife, and he runs towards the laboratory to escape from the person who's trying to kill him, or killed his wife and is chasing him. And I think it was, like, a guy with, like, scissors or something like that. Like, he was wearing, like, something over his face, and he had, like, scissors or something like that, and he was chasing him with, like, a giant pair of scissors. And he basically, like, runs into the laboratory, and the killer, like, chases him into the laboratory. And, like, the laboratory has this machinery that's like a what is it, like, it's a sensory deprivation chamber. Like, like when you go into, like, the giant like, metal sphere, and it's covered in water, and you're supposed to, like, go in there, and it, like, completely deprives you of all senses, and, like, it's like a meditation thing. It's like that. It's like a giant water tub, and, like, he basically gets into it to hide from the killer, and he unintentionally time travels while he's hiding in that tub. And uh, it's he ends up escaping, realizing that I think it was that he realizes he's gone into the past. And, like, when he realizes that he's gone into the past, he's seeing, like, all these events that he had already seen occur happen over again. So he starts adding it up in his head, and, like, realizes that he traveled back into the past. But, like, the first time around, he isn't able to change anything because he's only realizing what happened. And he's also realizing that things he noticed the very first time when he was being chased by the killer, that, like, he had caused in his current go-around. So, like, the idea is, like, the entire, like, story takes place across, like, a very short amount of time, but he keeps going into the past over and over again, and he's, like, finding out things as they are happening, and, like, adding to everything as it's going along. And his ultimate goal is to stop this murderer from killing his wife and trying to kill him. And it was very interesting. Like, it was a very, very interesting movie. I'm pretty sure, like, now that I'm thinking about it, I think it was like a foreign movie. So I can't remember the name of it, but it was. Oh, hey, Mez just came in. What's up, Mezzy? Good to see you, man. You must have noticed that I posted in your Discord. We're just kind of talking about time traveling movies. It's my 50 subscriber special, so I'm doing a special card, which I'm about to show in just a couple minutes. I was trying to make a gold color, and it looks like it's turned into a brown color. So I think I might add some yellow to kind of lighten up, or some white. I think I might do a little bit of both. But yeah, it was this really interesting movie. But I do also kind of remember that the ending was really disappointing. So, yeah, it was kind of like Groundhog Day with a killer. Which is also funny because there is actually a Groundhog Day movie about a killer. I think it was called like Happy Death Day or something like that. And it was literally a complete recreation of like Groundhog Day, but the difference is that there's somebody who's trying to murder the person who's reliving the experience over and over and over again. But I can definitely say that it was a lot more intriguing than just a Groundhog Day, you know? Because there's like a couple of really huge twists in the movie that I can actually remember as I'm talking about it, but I don't want to spoil it in case you guys are able to find it and watch it for yourselves. But it's very different. It's a very different style of time travel film. And what was really fun about it too was the idea that like the guy who is like time traveling has like no, like, he's not the inventor of like the time machine or anything like that. Like, they do actually, like, there is like a guy in the movie who they present to you as being the guy who invented the time machine. Um, but he's not like the focus of the storyline or anything like that. It's relatively intriguing. Like, I thought it was relatively interesting. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of other time travel movies because there's quite a few really good ones. I think I'm going to add some white to this brownish, this weird brownish color I got going on here. I'm trying to make it more of a gold color, or at least a brassy kind of color, because I have a reference photo on my computer right now, and I kind of have like this old. It's a picture of an old antique clock, and it's like it's basically like a brassy clockwork kind of clock, and it has like all these gears in it that you can see and things like that. It looks really interesting, so I'm going to try and recreate that. So I'm just basically trying to. I think that looks pretty good. Let me show you guys the color I just made. I think I finally got it to where I want it to be. This is it right here, and I think that looks like a pretty good brassy color. So I think I'm going to start with that. Um, I could actually start on the backgrounds, but I kind of want to do the definitive clockwork portion to start with. So, oh god, now I have to figure out how I want to place the clock on this. So I need to make sure that there's enough room for that night and sunrise scape that I'm going to do. So I think, oh geez. All right, let me just kind of see if I can just add like a half circle here. Okay. For anybody who's come in who doesn't already know what I'm working on, I think Mez might not know what's going on. So basically, I chose specifically to commemorate my 50 subscriber. This is a 50 subscriber special, so I'm celebrating by doing a very special altar. I am basically making a altered time walk, and I was kind of coming up with what I want it to look like. as the stream began. And basically, what I've got going on here is to break it down again. I do have I have a copy of Walk the Aeons and a copy of Time Walk here to kind of use as reference pieces. And are you referencing the Guru Lands? No, no. I mean, that's actually a good idea. I didn't even fathom that. That was not something that I was thinking about at all. But that might be a decent thing to reference. I kind of am using a few different art pieces to kind of give me an idea of what I want to go for. So obviously I have, for anybody who hasn't already seen it, I have a copy of Walk the Aeons, and I also have a copy of Time Walk, and I'm kind of just like using those as reference points for mainly the human bone figures that I'm trying to paint. I'm actually worried now that this clock is a little awkwardly shaped. Not sure. I mean, I guess I could change it a little bit as I go along. Maybe it's okay that it's a little weirdly shaped, I guess. Um, but the idea that I have is that basically I'll just go over it again. I'm basically going to paint half of a giant clock face, and we're going to have one of those skeletal muscle figures pulling or pushing on one of the hands of the clock to kind of like be influencing it to move, which is supposed to represent um, him like changing time, pushing time forward or whatever. And then what I'm going, like, obviously there's going to be a clock face. There's going to be the guy pushing the clock hand. And then basically I have this idea that I'm probably going to have like the clock hand. My guess is it's probably going to be like this, probably. So like just a little bit past. Oh, sorry. um, basically, the clock hand's gonna probably be like this, is my guess, and just a little bit past the 12 mark. And time crimes. That might be it. That actually might be it, Bo Falcon. If you like, definitely look into it. Because if it is the movie that I'm thinking about, and I think it's a foreign film, so you might have to watch it with subtitles. But I kind of recall that the ending was a little bit disappointing. But even though the ending wasn't amazing, I remember the journey of the movie, like the whole process of like going through it, because it's basically it's like a time travel horror mystery, and it's really fascinating. So like I definitely encourage. Man being pursued by a murderer stumbles into a mysterious lab and accident. That's definitely it. That's definitely it, Bo Falcon. Give it a watch. It's very good. It's like I said. I recall the ending is not amazing, but the actual like watching the entire movie and like the process of how you like get to the ending of what it is very good. It's very very good. I had a blast watching it with my dad, so definitely check it out. Mm. So, anyways, so I basically am going to have the clock hand that's being moved facing this way a little bit past the 12 point. And what's going to happen is there's going to be a dividing line across, like that's going to meet up with the clock hand. And the dividing line on one side of, I'm not sure which side I'm going to do it. I'm not sure if I'm going to do the night sky on this side or the sunrise on this side. It's either or. I'm going to do a sunrise on one side and a night sky on the other to like be on the divide of the separate line. I might do like an interesting thing where I kind of like mesh the colors together a little bit. Um, and then down below I'm going to have like a ground where the skeletal figure is walking, and the dividing line will go all the way to the bottom. And on one side of the dividing line, there's going to be like death, like it's going to be like barren land with nothing growing on it. and on the other portion it's going to be like full of grass and flowers and things like that. So that's basically what I'm trying to aim towards right now. So I'm just going to kind of work on this clock a little bit. And I'm just not sure 100% like how the colors are all going to come together because, like I said, okay, that's something I don't care about. Don't worry about it. You know what? I might. I was gonna put my phone on silent, but like last time, people were contacting me while I was streaming because they wanted to know what was going on. So I think I'm just gonna go ahead and leave my notifications on if you guys don't mind. Um, if it really starts getting out of hand, I'll turn it off. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure where exactly I'm going to go with this or how it's all going to come together because I basically first started brainstorming this idea last night for this card. And I did a sketch last night and I didn't like how it came out. And then I did oh, that's what the notification was for. It was a YouTube thing. Um, and I kind of like did a sketch last night and then I did a sketch this morning, and I didn't like how either of them came out. So I was just kind of like constantly trying to figure out what to do with it. And basically, the concept that you guys are seeing me do right now, I literally came up with it like an hour ago. Like, you know? So we'll definitely see how this comes together. I am thinking maybe I should. I don't know if I should do. I think I should just work on the clock first. I think that's what I need to do, and then I can put the skeletal figure over the front of the clock. Let me kind of reference this again. Okay. Okay, I kind of see where I think I'm gonna go with this. Okay. Um. Okay. So, you know what? I guess if you guys are curious, if you guys want to see what I'm referencing right now, if you guys want, I mean, it's up to you. Let me go ahead and show you the picture I'm looking at that's kind of giving me an idea of what I'm trying to do here. Oh. Okay. That's basically the picture I'm using to kind of give me an idea of how I think I want this clock to look. You guys can take a look at it and tell me what you think. Because I'm just kind of winging it, you know. And I mean, I've done some pieces before where I've totally winged it, where like, because this is not the first altar I've done where like I didn't really know 100% what I was going to do. I just kind of like jumped into it and I was like, well, here goes something, you know. Um, But for anybody who's curious, I did a altar of cosmic horror like a long time ago before I was streaming, and I kind of just winged that thing. I did have what I used as a reference was actually the book, the Legends novel that I was reading at the time, to kind of like be descriptive and explain to me like what the cosmic horror essentially had going on around it. But other than that, it was just purely imagination. Like I just kind of like took what the book was telling me, and then imagined what it was supposed to look like, and then I just kind of went ahead and did it. So that's and I've done a couple other pieces like that too, but that's probably the one where I put the most effort into it based on not really knowing what I was going to do. Um, but I kind of like it. I like doing freeform altering sometimes because it's definitely it can be a lot of fun, and a lot of the time if I'm not like referencing something, I can get a little more creative with it than what I originally planned to. Um, so it's just kind of a go with it, go with the flow situation, which I really like. It can be fun, and I mean sometimes that's like I always have. I would say that even though I do really enjoy doing the extended arts, but I always have the most fun when I'm doing like a full altar like this. Like this is a full altar. And I've only done a few full altars, but the main reason why I don't do them that often, they take a lot of time and a lot of concentration. So they're kind of rare. I mean, I would definitely do them if I'm getting paid to do them, which I've done before. But like, I mean, if I'm, oh, that's annoying. I need to wet my brush a little bit. But I mean, I've been paid to do a couple of altars before, but generally most of them I've done just because I wanted to do them, and not necessarily because like somebody was paying me or somebody, whatever. But it's a lot of the time when I've done them, it's because I've been passionate to do them. Like for example, like the first, what was I think. I think the first full altar I did was the Black Lotus. I think that's what it was. I'm trying to recall if I did another full altar before that. But I was very passionate about that. That was a very special piece for me in particular because it just meant a lot to me. It was that was like I was doing that to commemorate Christopher Rush because he was one of the. There's a few artists that really inspired me to do art, and he was one of those artists that really inspired me because I've talked about this a couple of times before, but his art is so um, fascinating. Like, I mean, obviously he's famous for the Black Lotus. Everybody knows the Black Lotus, but there's so many pieces he's done that are just fascinating, like really well done, very interesting, and just really fun to explore with your eyes, I guess I would say. And I've talked about my one, like my one of my favorite pieces by Christopher Rush is the Black Enchantment in Prison, and I love that card. I love the art for it. Um, it's just like because it's this art piece that's very weirdly meta. Like it's the art is a beautiful representation of like what the card does, but it's also that it what's the word the 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 character in the art is literally trapped in the card. And like when you when you finally realize that that's what's going on, it makes you respect the artwork much more than you did originally. Cuz you realize that it's like as if Christopher Rush found a way to like make a card, like a magic card, into like a literal physical representation of like what it's supposed to be. And like I loved it. I loved that. I thought that was astounding like when I realized that. And I've never seen like another magic card ever do that before. Like cuz like the idea is like a lot of magic cards are like they're like windows into a fantasy world. They're like like you imagine them like you're looking through a piece, like you look at them and you're like, oh, like this magic card is like a window into another reality. Like it's you can imagine the idea that like it's a moment captured in time in a fantasy world. But the card in Prison is like it's not a window into another world. The card is like a physical prison. It's like as if the card itself is not like a window into another reality. It's like as if it's a physical object used in a magical world to like entrap somebody, imprison somebody within it. So it makes it feel less like as if it's a card and more like it's a magical construct. And that's what I adore about that card. I would probably say that might be like my favorite like Christopher Rush piece of all time. Like it's just because I've never seen a card that's made me feel like that before, where I'm like, oh my god, like this card is like literally like an object from a fantasy world. It's not a window. It's literally a magical construct from another reality. And like I adore that about that piece. And it's literally like it's the art that does it. Like the card itself isn't, like the power of the card or like the mechanics of the card don't give you that idea. It's the art of the card that gives you that idea. And I adore that. Like I really do. I've never seen any other card like that before. I can't think of any other card like that. And I mean, there's some like other really interesting older pieces that do kind of play with ideas like that. Where like I've seen cards break the fourth, like Magic cards break the fourth wall before. A hilarious one that I can think of is, but it's not like, I mean, it breaks the fourth wall in a way where it's a combination of the art and the flavor text working together to break the fourth wall. But the art by itself doesn't give you like the same feeling that like the card in Prison does, where it's like where you feel like it's like not only breaking the fourth wall, but you feel like, for example, like I said, in Prison, not only breaks the fourth wall, but it gives you the idea that you own, like owning the Magic card in Prison makes you feel like you own a magical like object from another dimension. But like the other cards that break the fourth wall are generally like jokes, like inside jokes from like Wizards R&D making a joke to like the player base and things like that. The one that comes to mind right off the bat that does that kind of thing, where it's like a joke between Wizards R&D and Magic players, is if you guys have ever seen the original card, like the original printing of Deep Analysis. It's a blue card that draws cards. And basically what it does is it shows art of two cephalid scientists. And they're basically, what's the word? They are, oh god, dissecting, that's it. They're dissecting a masticore. And like it shows them dissecting a masticore, which for anybody who doesn't know, masticore was famous, or maybe better put, infamous, for being one of the most powerful magic artifacts ever printed during its time. And nowadays it's considered not that good, but at the time that it was printed, it was considered to be one of the most broken and powerful and easily abusable artifact creatures ever printed, hands down. And I spent so much time painting like this little strip here. I think maybe I need to make it a little thicker, but I'm also out of paint for this color. I'm sorry if this is such a slow roll, guys. I spent so much time talking. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this stream go on for like another half hour, I guess. I really got to watch my times. I mean, I feel like, 2 hours is probably about when it's too much. But I haven't gotten much progress done, and I will be spreading this out across a couple of streams so that we can get the full enjoyment of everything that's going on. Excuse me. But anyways, yeah, so Masticore is this really powerful artifact creature printed in, I believe it was Urza's Destiny. And it was considered at the time to be one of the most powerful artifact creatures ever printed. And people thought it was like basically a mistake of a card to be printed. And it did so much for so little. But anyways, so basically the card that I was talking about, Deep Analysis, shows two cephalid scientists kind of like dissecting a masticore. And then the flavor text below it says, "This specimen seems to be broken." And that's an obvious joke based on the idea that Wizards kind of realized that Masticore was a mistake of a card. It was way too powerful during the time that it was being played with. And so they kind of made that as a joke to the player base. Like, they were basically saying, hey, like, we screwed up and we know it and we think it's hilarious, so here's a card making a joke about the fact that we screwed up. So, I mean, there are cards like that where they break the fourth wall and stuff, and that can be pretty fun, you know? But it's not the same, like, and this was my point, it's not the same as, like, a card like Imprison by Christopher Rush, where the card is, like, not only breaking the fourth wall, but it makes you feel like that you, like the card itself is a magical object, which is super cool. I don't even remember how I got on this topic. I think it was because I was talking about Christopher Rush because I was talking about how I loved the Black Lotus and I did an altar for it. And that was stemmed off of the idea that I don't do altars that often, like full-blown altars, like this one that I'm working on. But I do really enjoy doing them. I do. I love doing full altars, and it's like I don't get to do it very often. But when I do, I have a great time. Because they just, they really spark my imagination because, obviously I don't have, like when I'm doing an extended art, it's different because, God, there's too much black in this. It's different because I have, like, the art already on the card that I can reference and extend. But when I do, like, a full-blown altar like what I'm doing here, I kind of have to be really imaginative and kind of, like, do my own thing and you know, just kind of really mess around with it and play with it in my imagination and things like that. And that's a lot of fun. Like, I mean, that's something I genuinely enjoy because, I mean, that's what being an artist is you know, if you're an artist is somebody who is just constantly trying to present their imagination in a physical form for other people to enjoy and observe, you know? And that's at the core what being an artist is all about. And so, I mean, when I get to do altars that, you know, are completely fresh and, you know, they're not... That's not the right color. Darn it. Sorry, I got distracted by how this is so not the right color. Maybe a little bit of red will work. But yeah, it's just that, you know, I definitely want to do more artwork like that. Like, I mean, eventually I want to... I've done stuff on canvas before, and I kind of want to get more into that. But at the same time, like, a major thing, too, is that I just really enjoy painting cards. I really do. It's very fun for me. And it's taking my two favorite hobbies and kind of turning them into one single hobby, you know? And I enjoy that. I really do. And this color is not working. It's driving me crazy, you guys. It's just, ugh. Alright, and before I added too much black, and then I added too much white, and it's just like, come on, man. Come on. But yeah, I mean, I know that eventually I have some really cool ideas for some canvas pieces I really want to do. I want to, ooh, I think that might have been just the right amount of black, actually. That seems pretty close to, I think, what I want. I'm going to test it out on the card, and we'll see how it works, because I think that looks pretty good. Let me kind of give you guys a little bit of a close-up of it, because it's kind of wonky. This is, this right here is the color that I just finished doing. And I think it's pretty close to what I want it to be. So let me kind of test it out and kind of add more to our clock here that is being very slowly put together. Hey, that color works! Yay! But yeah, I have some ideas of what I want to do for canvas. And I actually do want to do... I have this cool idea of doing some, like, magic-related paintings. Like, kind of like a... like what I've seen a lot of artists who kind of do their own interpretation of certain magic cards, but they do them like as full blown paintings. Like I mean, one of my favorites that I've seen is Seb McKinnon does like he likes to do art of cards that he's never been actually able to turn into actual magic cards, but they are like artworks or art pieces based on actual cards that exist. And he did one for Stasis, and it's spectacular. Like it's probably the best like representation of Stasis I have probably ever seen in my entire life. And I would actually love it if Wizards like reprinted Stasis using Seb McKinnon's artwork for it, because it's absolutely amazing. Like it actually makes you like you look at the card and you're just like, yep, that's Stasis. Like that is what Stasis is. Like it's very cool. But I want to do art pieces like that. Like I want to sliver cool on canvas. Yeah, maybe. I was actually talking to Richard Lash about doing something like that. Um, I think that's thick enough for the. I feel like maybe I should probably fatten up this side just a little bit. I'm not totally sure yet. Um, let's see. But yeah, one of the things, like I have a couple of ideas of cards that I wanted to kind of give like a reskin to. Um, like I wanted to, one of the main ones that I really wanted to do is like I've actually been thinking about it for quite some time. I've had this idea on my mind pretty much ever since I read the Legends novels, which I adore. Um, and that's there's this amazing part of the book where all of the Robaran mercenaries, who are like the main group of characters um, in the book, basically infiltrate the kingdom of Johan's kingdom, and they're all in these like black garbs, like black cloaks and things like that. And they basically look like they all are dressed the same, so they all look like shrouded assassins almost. And there's this scene with Jedit where he has like just like snapped the neck of a soldier. He's wearing his black garb, and he like drags the guard behind like a building. And all of these mercenaries are carrying these tin mugs with a stripe of red painted around the mugs, and they use that to. They're also dressed to look like beggars, so that they look like non-suspicious beggars, and they use the cups to kind of like beg for money. And they have a scene where some people pass by and drop coins in the cup thinking that they're beggars, but they're basically like infiltrating the kingdom. And they basically like it's just this really cool scene where they're all dressed up in these like cloaks, and they're all carrying around these cups to kind of like symbol to one another who they are and what they're trying to do. And it's just very cool. And I always thought that it would be really cool to like paint Jedit in that scene where he like is like kind of dragging the body behind the building, and he's also like showing off his tin cup, and he's like looking all stealthy and cool. And I kind of really wanted to do that because I love Jedit. It really sucks that his card is so shitty. Well, I mean, actually that's not true, because they reprinted him. They did the original version of his card was really bad, but they kind of gave him like a reskin later on, and his reskin ended up being really good. So I'm kind of glad that they did that. Oh hey, James P is in here. I'm sorry. I just how you doing, man? Thanks for joining. Welcome to the 50 subscriber special. Okay, I'm just kind of looking at my reference point real quick. I'm doing a full altar for a time walk, and I'm kind of just throwing it together as I go along. So, you never really know what's going to happen. I think I want to kind of darken my gold paint just a little bit, because now I'm going to kind of add some of the gears and such to the clock. So let's see here. I think I'm going to kind of let's see here. Okay. Sorry, I'm just checking my reference points because I'm kind of, like I said, I'm going by ear, and I kind of need these reference points to help me figure out what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of just bring down. Ooh, that's perfect. That's the exact color I wanted. I'm just going to kind of bring this down as like a stripe. Just like a very thick stripe. And the idea is that this is the bar where all the gears are going to be placed. For anybody who doesn't already know, I posted that link. That's kind of the clock that I'm using as a reference point to kind of help me figure out what I want to do with this piece. So, well, with the clock portion of this piece. So I'm kind of just adding in this darker brown color. And then I'll probably add in some gears to kind of, give it that mechanical construct appearance to it. And, yeah, let's see here. I might also have to set up a grayish color as well to get the silver gears in place, like the right color for those gears going. There we go. And I'm going to kind of like just, I'm going to have it flat here, like right on this portion. And the reason why is because that's where I want the landscape to be for, because I told you guys I'm doing kind of like a sectioned off landscape where one side is going to be dead and the other portion is going to be like lively and green and maybe some flowers or something. And that's going to kind of help distinguish, the two different portions of time represented in the piece. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and get that off of there. And let's go ahead and maybe make a gray color, or maybe some white added to that will help. No, I should make a new color. Okay, so let me get this out of the way for a minute. I promise. I know it looks a little funky right now, but I promise it's going to get better. It's just, it always, like, that's what I've learned about doing this stuff too. Is I've kind of learned that it always looks really funky when you start, but it's like by the time you get, like, I always kind of learned about halfway through it, it starts really looking good. Because my artwork is amazing. That's why. But it always looks funky in the start. And I've kind of like learned that, like, that's actually pretty normal. Like, I mean, like I've noticed that, like, with a lot of different artists too, is like it starts out looking really funky, and then it just kind of meshes after a little while once you add the finer details and things like that. It's just funkalicious, you know? You guys all rock. Glad to be a part of a great community of people. Well, you rock too, James Peong. Thank you so much, man. Hey, it's Cinder Shadow and Clayton. Hey, guys. Glad you're all here. Welcome to the 50 subscriber special. I know I was in Cinder's stream the other night, and I was kind of like, hey, like, I have this really cool idea for an altar I'm doing. And so now you get the chance to see what's going on, man. I kind of made a gray here. Oh, God, I don't know if it's going to be enough. Hopefully it will. Hopefully it will. We'll see what happens. So basically, I'm making a time walk. It's an altered version of time walk, and I know you can't tell really. This gray is not going to work. I just realized that. Damn it. Okay. Okay, let me change this gray color real quick. I just realized that my gray color is the same color as my primer, so there's no way it's going to show up at all correctly. So I'm going to add some black, and I'm going to also add maybe a lot of white. I don't know. Maybe what I'll do is I'll add like a little drop of white directly onto the black portion that I have here. So since you guys all jumped in, thank you, Clayton. I appreciate it, man. You rock. I love you, dude. So let me go ahead while I'm setting up this paint, explaining what's going on. I've kind of explained it a few times, but I know that there's some new people who just now came in. So basically I'm doing a altered time walk, and it's a commemorative piece specifically for celebrating my 50 subscribers. And the idea of what's going on is I have, like, what this is going to be is this is a big brass clock, and I'm going to have, like, the numbers on it. I'm thinking about doing, like, Roman numerals and things like that. And basically there's going to be a giant clock hand that's kind of, like, pointing, like, this way. And basically you're going to see, like, one of the little, like, muscular skeletal figures that you see on, like, Time Walk and on, like, Walk the Aeons. And they're basically going to be pulling or pushing the clock hand across the clock to represent the movement of time. And what's going to happen is the clock hand is also going to, like, the clock hand will be about here, like, start here and point to about here. But there's also going to be a dividing line all across the artwork. And what that's going to do is on one portion of the dividing line, it's going to be a night sky. And on the other portion of the dividing line is going to be a sunrise. So that way it can define the idea that time is passing and things like that. And then on the bottom portion, there's going to be an area where the land is all dead. Like, there's nothing growing, nothing surviving. And on the other portion, the land is going to be growing and thriving and, like, green and maybe some flowers or something. So that's basically what's going on. It's basically like I wanted to do this whole special, time walk art to kind of be like symbolism towards celebrating 50 subscribers. The idea is it's like Time Walk, the overall idea of Time Walk is that it's pushing you forward into time and pushing you forward closer to your win position. And I thought that was a really cool symbol for the direction of my channel, because I see it as, the future is getting brighter. I have 50 subscribers. Like, things are going to get better, bigger, more awesome. And it's just supposed to be kind of a moment captured in time to symbolize how far I've gotten so far. And that's why I really wanted to do it. So here we are. And I'm having fun while doing it. I mean, this is really cool. I don't really do alters like this all that often, and I thought it would be really fun to kind of do that. So that's why I'm doing it this way. So I'm going to kind of, let's see, I'm going to put like one, oh god, that gray is not dark enough. Damn it. Alright, that's fine. I will darken my gray again. Yeah, I think it's going to be really cool. I'm really excited about it. Like, I was telling everybody that I only came up with this idea like about an hour. Like, I knew that I wanted to paint a time walk, but the way that I'm doing it right now, I only came up with it about an hour before I started the actual stream. So it's kind of just, I'm just playing it by ear. So I'm going to, I still don't think that's dark enough. Well, maybe it is, I don't know. So basically I'm kind of trying to paint some gears. Just kind of to add a little more intrigue to the clock. There we go. It's kind of like that. There we go. And I'll go ahead and add like a little tiny dot right there to kind of represent the center of the gear. And then a little bar right there, and then a little bar right there, just like that. And then I will, let's see, there we go, just to clean it up a little bit. And maybe like that, just a little bit. There we go, so there's the beginning of our first cog. And let me kind of wet the brush a little bit, and I'll add some like stripes to it. So it kind of looks like it has like, not stripes, teeth. Back to the Future, yeah, pretty much. It's so funny. It's probably because of like the focus on what the card is. It's a time walk. We have been talking about time traveling movies through this whole stream, actually. So we're kind of talking about really interesting time travel movies that we were watching not too long ago. I was telling everybody about this really interesting time travel movie that I watched some time ago that was like not only a time travel film, but it was also a horror film. And it was very interesting. And I would definitely recommend it. Bo was the one who found the name of it, which I already can't remember the name of. So if Bo wants to say the name of the movie again, that would be cool. But I can't remember the name of it already. So, but yeah, we're talking about interesting time travel films and things like that, which are a lot of fun. I love time travel movies and science fiction films and things like that. It's a lot of fun. Back to the Future is a great series. I really enjoy that one. Ah, delicious. Okay. Cold coffee. So good. It's really funny because it's like I love hot coffee and I love cold coffee, but room temperature coffee is like disgusting. Bo, I was trying to once again bring up the one that was like the time travel movie that's also the horror film. Time Crimes. I actually just now saw it in the chat. Time Crimes is the Time Crimes, or I'll Follow You. Well, I'll Follow You Down was the Haley Joel Osment movie. But yeah, Time Crimes is the foreign time travel movie that's also a horror flick. And that one is really good. The I'll Follow You Down movie is meh. Like, it's alright. I mean, it's not terrible. It's just not amazing. Alright, so here is the next gear that I want to do. Just kind of making it a smaller one. Just like that. A little bit more paint on there. But yeah, the Time Crimes one is pretty good. But like I said, I kind of recall that, like, and I can't remember 100% for sure, but I kind of recall that the ending of it was a little disappointing. But it's still worth the watch. Like, it really is. Like, I would not say, like, don't watch it just because I remember the ending not being that great doesn't mean it's a bad film. Like, it's just not the most spectacular ending of all time. Hey, Carly! Oh, thank you so much for this. Congrats. Glad to have you in here. I am working on a altered time walk thing. It's a time walk. Just kind of painting some gears for the giant clock in the background. And there will be more to it. I just I want to get the clock started. And then I think I might try and focus a little bit on the background. Ooh, that gear is like really fat. And I don't have my brown. Arg! Alright, let me see if I can kind of fix that in a minute. But glad to have you in here, Carly. Glad to have you in here. Thanks for joining us. Yeah. I mean, well, when I watched Time Crimes, it was on Netflix, but I mean, this was like some time ago. So, like, this was probably maybe a year or longer ago. So, I mean, I don't know if it's still on Netflix anymore, but it's pretty good. Like, it's worth the watch. Like, definitely. Let's see. Sure, I'm better after. Yeah, no, I know the feeling. Sometimes I feel like I can't function without a shower, Carly. Like I get home, it's actually funny because like my first instinct is like when I come home, I want to like find out if like Perp is streaming, and then usually I find out by the time that I get home that Perp is not streaming anymore. So then I go over and find out if Cinder is streaming, and normally he is, which is always awesome. And then I'll come into the stream and hang out for a little bit, and then I'll realize, oh my god, I feel all dirty and gross. Like, I need to go shower. And then I have to make sure that right before I shower, I have to make sure that Cinder knows that I'm showering. It's very important. Cinder must always know when I'm showering, and I have to make sure that he knows. And, it's important business. Um, but yeah, I always feel better after I shower. Always makes me feel nice and clean and fresh. And I feel like if I get into bed like without showering, I think it's gross. Like I just feel like because like it's kind of like when you work in a kitchen, you know, like you feel like I handle lots of food and like there's grease and I'm around a hot stove, which means I'm sweating and like after working in a kitchen all day, like you're kind of filthy McNasty, you know. And so when I get home, like generally one of the major things I want to do is just shower, so I feel like that I get all the grease and sweat off of me, you know, because it's disgusting. All right, I'll put a little dot right there, and just kind of extend that gear out like so. There we go. Okay, I think I'm going to add like a large gear now. So like, kind of, let's see, maybe right here. There we go. Just like right so that it's nearly touching the smaller gear. I might have to make this one kind of thicker too, just because it's a bigger gear. There we go. It's coming together. It's coming together. I think how adding the gears kind of like defines it a lot more. It doesn't make it look like it's like this awkward like brown bridge that I've made or something like that. So it's coming together. I'm really excited about this piece. Like I said, like I kind of like brainstormed it at the last minute, and I really liked how I kind of came up with the idea of what it's going to look like. So I'm really excited to just kind of really get into this and just really get it to look as nice as I possibly can. And I have this idea where like I'll write like I'm planning somewhere on the card when I finish it up. I'm gonna like write like 50 subscribers or something like that, just to kind of commemorate it. It'll be a lot of fun. Dark, fine, kind of similar TV series to the movie. Really? That's interesting. I'll have to ask my dad if he's ever heard of it. He would probably be on top of something like that. I've never heard of it. I don't have Netflix. I used to have Netflix, but there was a situation that occurred where I had to basically give up Netflix. And I don't really regret it because I was already not really using Netflix all that often. I'll be honest, like YouTube is basically like my Netflix. Like I'm a lot more interested in user created content than I am in like production value content, you know? I'm not as into, like studio based content, and I don't really watch movies as much as I used to anymore. There was a portion of time where I was obsessed with Netflix. Like, I used to just like turn it on and have it on all day. But now I feel like that's changed from being Netflix to being YouTube for me, and I'm okay with that because I I actually like part of the enjoyment of YouTube for me is knowing that there are all these creators on YouTube who are making free content to like very extremely high quality free content. And like, I mean, they don't like. I mean, there are a lot of them who are like, "Give me the money," but like most of them are all like, "No, I just do this because I like it," and like the money just comes, you know. And like, Perp is an example of that. But there are also plenty of other content creators that I really enjoy who also are very similar in that way. Like they make free content and they just do it because they like doing it. And I always really like that about YouTube in particular is that it's the whole thing of like supporting people who enjoy making content. And honestly, like a lot of them, like a lot of content creators on YouTube, like sometimes I feel like their quality of content is like better than movies these days. Like, like we're like, you go and see like these, billion-dollar like movies, and you're just like I don't know, like I spent like $20 like to go see that movie and I didn't even really enjoy it, whereas like I can go on YouTube and watch like 2 hours worth of content from a bunch of different users that spend tons and tons of time just like making good content. And it's like, you know, I don't want to waste my time with Hollywood anymore. I mean, there are like a few really interesting movies that come out like maybe every couple of years or so that I have to go and see. But generally, it's like I just avoid it. For example, I will say this: I'm actually really excited about the Joker film that's going to come out. I'm planning to go see it. I'm going to pay full price to see it on the big screen, um, and that's something I'm definitely looking forward to. I really want to see that, and I'm actually in the process of convincing my dad to go see it with me. And he's very iffy about it, but I keep trying to like hype it up for him so that he will be interested in going to go see it with me. Because my dad is very picky about movies, and I mean, so am I. So am I actually. I am also extremely picky about the movies I go and see, but I do actually think that the Joker movie is going to be worth like the full price to see it on the big screen. So that's what I'm planning on doing pretty soon. I was going to actually treat my dad to go see it. I was going to pay for me and him and my stepmom if she wants to go. Sometimes she likes to skip the movies that are like that. But I know that my dad would probably be really into it, so I was going to pay for him to go see it. Um, just as like, a thank you and all that, because I like help like treating my dad to stuff like that every once in a while. He's a good guy. Let's see, rent real movies and shows on YouTube now as well. That's true. YouTube Red. I actually always forget that exists, but I'm not super into that. It's just I'm not into high production, stuff like that. That's not my jam. It used to be, but not anymore. Um, I feel like I want to add some numerals to this clock. Like it might be a little early, but I think I want to do that. Let me kind of take a look here. And let's see, I guess I could start with the 12 and then move my way across to the 1 and so forth. Okay. I was just checking my reference point again. Let me bring the camera just a little bit closer so you guys can see what I'm doing. Where is it? There it is. Okay, just making sure. God, I have to make this look super nice. I don't know how well it's going to come. Maybe, should I do it in Sharpie? I've done that before. I'm wondering if I should do the numerals in Sharpie. There have been a couple of alters I've done where I've done like writing and stuff like that in Sharpie on the painting just because it's a finer point and it's easier to handle. So maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll save that. Oh, but I need to make the clock hands. I have to do that. I think I will use black for the clock hands. That probably makes sense, right? All right. So let's go ahead and get that black going. I'm sticking to it. I'm going to do black. I think that'll be fine. So now I have to figure out where the clock hands are going to be positioned here. And I also need to figure out if I should set up the... Should I make the minute hand being pushed by the character, or should I do the hour hand? What do you guys think? Do you think the minute hand will be better? Because the minute hand is larger. The hour hand is shorter. Do you think it's better to have... Like, I feel like maybe doing the hour hand would be better, because that's more influential over time, right? So, like hours are obviously bigger than minutes. So, I mean, you'd think that if the character was pushing the hour hand, things would change more drastically, right? So maybe I should do the hour hand being influenced by the character. And I also need to figure out... Okay. This is actually probably the more complicated part. I probably need to... I think I'm going to do the hour hand. And I also need to figure out where its position on the clock is going to be, right? So... Brainstorming my art right now, right here, live on stream. Okay. So let's kind of think about this. So, I think what I want to do... And I also have to keep track of, like, how much space is being taken up by the line. So, let's say I do the hour hand, right? So, I kind of want it maybe like that, I think. I think that's where I want it to be. Like, maybe about right there. Because that's in the middle. So, that gear represents the middle. The hand is probably about there. And that gives me... Maybe... Oh, jeez. This is tough to figure out. I want one portion to be bigger than the other, but only just slightly. So, I think maybe... Maybe like that? Maybe that's where I want it to be. I think. Alright, because once I start laying down paint to, like, define this, that's it. Like, I can't really go backwards. I could, but it would take a lot of work and effort to fix any mistakes for that. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to define it like that. And what I'll do is, I think I want the sunset to be on this side and the night sky to be on this side. Because sunrises are prettier than night skies. So I think I want to do the bigger portion for the sunrise because that's prettier. So I think what I'm going to have to do is... And maybe... Okay. The other portion is that I have to figure out is I have to know if I'm going to make the character pull or push. And that's kind of important. I feel like maybe it would make more sense to have the character on this side pulling the clock hand down, I think. Yeah. I'm just trying to, like, I'm trying to picture it in my mind of what it's going to look like. So, okay. All right. I think what I'm going to do is both. Yeah, thank you. Why not both? That's an old meme. I miss that meme. Why not both? All right. So here we go. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use one brush to kind of, like, help me define where I want it to be. I'm going to have it right there. I'm using this dot on this gear to kind of give me a pinpoint of where the clock hand is going to be pointed. And then I'm going to get black paint here to kind of, like, define the line for the split end of the card. So... let's go ahead and... Oh, jeez, my brush. My brush is all raggedy! I might need to buy new brushes soon. Okay. So, let me kind of just re-reference this. Or I should say reposition is what I mean to say. Okay. So, kind of like that. And then I don't want it to cross over the mana cost, right? So let's kind of just right there. Just like that. Just like that. And it's kind of a faded line, but that's okay because I can define it better a little bit later. I just need it as a reference point so that I know um, where it's all going to be positioned as I work on it more. Okay, so that's pretty good. I think that's a good start. So I have this little black line I got going here. Let me kind of extend it down a bit. Excuse me. And then I will start painting the clock hands. Um, about indie games, so much more passion. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit behind. I mean, I did read the both. Why not both? Yeah, I'm actually a big fan of indie games. There's a couple of indie games I've been supporting because they're so well done. One indie game that I've gotten really into, I was more into it in the past. I haven't played it much lately. Um, is and I mean, there's also a couple of YouTubers, like big YouTubers, who have been focusing on it, and I became a huge fan of it because I loved how deep the game is. So for anybody who's heard of Oxygen Not Included, I love that game. It's so like, it's so crazy. Like there's so much going on in it. It's probably like the ultimate resource management survival game I've ever seen. Like it's pretty dang intense. And I was playing it a whole bunch during its open beta, and I think they, if I remember correctly, they finally did their official release of the game. So I kind of want to go back and play it again. But it's definitely been quite some time since I played it because um, I've been so like, as you guys know, I don't play games very often. So like when I do play a game, it's like I kind of like come in and out of it. And I do love, like playing certain games when they're really good, but generally I spend most of my time with constructive hobbies. So that's just kind of like the way that I do things. And um, but I mean, like obviously I love Minecraft. And hold on a second, I'm just gonna kind of let me take a look. I need to look at my reference again. Um, Okay, so that's about halfway up. Okay, that's good to know. But like I do love like certain games that are a lot more indie developed, and like Oxygen Not Included is a very it's an indie game. It was developed by the same people who made the game. Um, what's it called? Don't Starve, which is I've actually never played Don't Starve, and it looks like it's a lot of fun. I've just never, I don't know, like when it came out, I did see it a lot, but it wasn't really the kind of game that I really wanted to play. Because I don't know, I just wasn't really. It didn't have like the appeal to me. Like I didn't find it appealing, and like I'm very picky about my games, so um, sorry, I'm just focusing on getting these clock hands right. Um, but let's see if I can kind of like get that right there. That'll help me figure out how I want to point this. Um, it's I'm so focused on trying to paint this that I'm kind of like losing track of what I'm saying. Um, I just never found the appeal in Don't Starve. It was just like, I mean, I can see that it was a good game. Like, I've seen people play it, and I'm like, oh, like, yeah, that looks like it's probably pretty fun, but it's not, like, my kind of game. Like, I can acknowledge that there are games that are probably pretty good that I'm just not into. And that really seemed like one of those kinds of games where I'm just like, I don't think I'm going to play this because it's not my particular kind of style. Um, but when I saw like gameplay of Oxygen Not Included, I was like, oh my god, like I love resource management games. I really do. And I was like, that looks like the ultimate resource management game. Ultimate resource management game. Like, I have never, like, out of every game I've ever played, I don't think I've ever seen a game as complicated in resource management as Oxygen Not Included. Like, I've just never seen anything like that before. Like, I mean, like, you have to manage everything in that game. Absolutely everything. Like, you have to manage your water, you have to manage your oxygen, you have to manage your heat, you have to manage your cold, you have to manage your food, you have to manage your power, your like your plumbing, you have to manage, like, you even have to like pay attention to like bacteria. You have to pay attention to bacteria, sewage, like everything. Everything in that game is like a big freaking deal, and it's like if you mismanage anything in that game, you'll die. Like you'll die. Like all your characters will die, and you'll be very upset about it. And let me tell you, I have definitely died plenty of times playing that game. Like and it always feels terrible when like all of your characters die because like there's always this great build up to it. And the thing is too is that like death in that game is Hey Mike. I just now read your comment. um, but yeah, like the thing about that game is that like death is like Ice Age slow. Like it's so slow. Like it's the saddest thing ever because like when you know you're gonna die and it's like you can't do anything about it. Like you can try death. Like there are like a lot of the time like you can see like death coming towards you in that game, but like you know like how to manage it or like how to get out of it. But there are times when you're playing that game where like you can tell when death is inevitable. And the worst thing about it is that like when death is inevitable in that game, it is like so slow. Like it's just like you literally have to like watch everything fall apart extremely slowly. And it's the worst feeling ever when like everything is falling apart in that game. But it also makes you want to like strive to like make everything better. And like that game also like it's also like about learning from your mistakes. Like that game is a very much like learn from your mistakes oriented kind of game where like you just kind of have to like keep doing it and keep failing, and then every time you fail you learn something new. And that's like what makes it really good. Like it's very tough and it can be very frustrating, but it's also like I don't know. I get a lot of fun out of that particular level of frustration because I like games that are like wanting to teach me things, and like the more you practice it and like get better at it, the more you learn. And like the more you learn in it, the more things unlock, and you like learn more options, and you can get a lot more complicated, and it's a lot of fun. Um, but it can get very scary, frustrating sometimes. And it's a great game though. Like I when I was playing in the open beta, I had a blast with that game. I had like a time where like I sank like something like I want to say I played that game for like 6 or 7 hours straight, nonstop, without even realizing it. Because like an hour in that game goes by so quick, like you don't even realize how fast everything is going by. And I mean, if anybody is into like hardcore resource management games, I highly recommend that game. It's fantastic. Um, a lot of fun if you're into like hardcore resource management. Um, if Carly is still here, if she hasn't done a review on it, she should think about it. I mean, I don't know if like how she feels about hardcore resource management, but I definitely think she might get a kick out of like trying it out, and I would definitely love to hear her opinion on it if she looked into it. I think it's a game that's definitely worth it, but um, you know, check it out maybe. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out if I want to add anything to this hour hand. Um, I feel like I want to make the. I'm trying to get it to focus a little bit. There we go. I'm kind of trying to figure out if I want to make the hand like bigger, like fatter. Let's see. Maybe just like a little fatter. Because I really want it to like look more natural to a clock and not super like I don't know, like thin and awkward, I guess. I don't know. I'm just kind of trying to put it together as I go along and see how it works out with that. The only problem I have is that it seems like it's bent a little bit. And I'm trying to. I think I can straighten it out if I kind of just add a little bit more color to it as well. Like a little bit more of the black on there. There we go. Yeah. I'm trying to think of other indie games. I mean, I haven't played a lot of indie games, but there are a few that were pretty darn good. That's kind of like the major one that comes to mind. There was a game that I was really into for a period of time, but it's not an indie game. But I played it on Steam quite a bit, and I played it like 2 times through because I loved it so much. And I even tried to like talk my dad into trying it out, but no matter what, like my dad's not a game player, so I couldn't really convince him to really look into it. I even tried to like I went online on YouTube, I mean, and I even found like a playthrough of the game, and I tried to get him to watch it. And like no matter what I tried, he was like, "Oh, I don't want to watch this. Like it's annoying listening to the guy like playing the game and talking about it." And I'm like, "But that's the point of a playthrough, you know? Like like I mean, I can't, prevent that from happening because if you don't want to play the game, like I can't the only thing I can do is recommend a playthrough because I like and the thing is like the main reason why I want my dad to like check this game out is because and the game I should actually probably name it off. It's a game called Soma. It's a science fiction horror game. It was done by the creators of what's it called? Amnesia: The Dark Descent, and the game is fantastic. Like I never played Amnesia, but I played Soma, and I loved it. I absolutely adored that game. And that's my kind of science fiction. Like that's like one of the best like science fiction games I've ever seen in my entire life. And I really wanted my dad to like if he couldn't play it, I wanted him to like watch like a let's play of it or something, just so he could like enjoy the story of Soma, because it's Soma is based off of Philip K. Dick's novel called "Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep," which is fantastic. And for anybody who might need a better reference point other than the name of that novel, um, "Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep" was adapted into the movie known as Blade Runner. So if you've seen Blade Runner, then you know the basic storyline of that book I just named off. But the game Soma gives you like this absolutely astounding interpretation of Philip K. Dick's novel of "Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep," or Blade Runner. And it was just astounding. It touched on like so many fascinating, controversial subjects about artificial intelligence and like the progression of like computers and things like that that people don't generally think about in our current state of technology, but it is good to know about it in general. And it's just fantastic. Like another thing too is that there's an anime that I adore called, I mean, you guys probably know it, Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex, which is one of my favorite like animes of all time. And Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex is also based off of Philip K. Dick's science fiction writings. And they actually touch on a lot of the various subjects of like what the book Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep talks about. And so, I mean, Soma was like this perfect game that had all of the right questions and all of the best answers for those questions based on that particular style of science fiction writing. And it's like a psychological horror story that just really gets your brain thinking really hard. Like, you kind of like question like our state of technology. You think about like one of the things that it talks about, like one of the major plot points of the entire storyline of Soma, as well as it's actually also a major plot point, or at least a major subject in Ghost in the Shell standalone complex, is what is it about human intelligence that makes us human? Like what like if we were to eventually get to a point in computer technology, oh, my dog is having a puppy dream. Server, you okay? He was yipping in his sleep. um, he's like looking around like, what's going on? Um, anyways, one of the things that they talk about that's like really important is they talk about what is it that makes like if we get to a point where computer technology and like artificial intelligence is on the level of like human comprehension, like like you have like self-learning programs, like basically a computer that's designed to like learn from its surroundings and like implement that into its everyday life, like it's learning, it's adapting, it's progressing like a human being. And basically the saying is when technology gets to that point, what is it that separates technology from humankind? And that's basically like what all those stories are about. Like Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, or also known as Blade Runner, is about that. Like what separates, when technology gets to that point, what separates technology from human beings? Soma is about that. Like you get to a point of where like, well, if computers get hyper intelligent and they're self-learning programs and they act like living creatures and act like have human comprehension and things like that, like what makes them not human? Because if they're learning and they're capable of demonstrating like emotion and things like that, or even abstract concepts like religion, like what makes that form of comprehension not human? Like where's the line, in that? And that's what makes that stuff so interesting. Like it's very fascinating science fiction storytelling. So that's basically like what the game Soma is about. Is it's about, and that's also to a degree what a large portion of Ghost in the Shell standalone complex is about as well. Is like where does the technology end and humankind begin? Or vice versa. Where's that dividing line? And that's actually always stuff that like that's actually like that's a concept that has kind of haunted me since I want to say since like my like teenagerhood. Like I've been really into that kind of stuff for a very long time. I've always found it very just fascinating. Um, oh, I got another notification. YouTube has been going crazy with the notifications for me lately. That means that if I got a notification just now on my computer, that probably means my phone is going to go off soon. So you guys might hear a ring-a-ding on my phone in a little bit. I'm basically kind of, I like how this arrow has kind of like come out. So I'm basically starting on the next arrowhead here. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do. But yeah, I love hardcore science fiction a lot. I love the kind of science fiction that makes you think really deeply. Like I said, like I was just talking about all those various different science fiction concepts. And for anybody who's not actually like, if you're an avid reader in general, if you've never read Philip K. Dick's actual novel, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, I highly recommend it if you're like an avid reader. It's very fantastic. Like I said, it's one of those books that really like makes you question like technology and things like that. Would you put your brain in a super robot? Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. That's actually a major important thing about. That's why also like I love Ghost in the Shell standalone complex so much. Is like there's a major thing about that. For example, um, for anybody who doesn't know, who's never seen Ghost in the Shell standalone complex, this is not like a spoiler. This is just like they basically tell you this story in the opening credits for the show. And it's genius how they do it. The main character in the story, the lady, I think they call her by her rank. She has an actual name, I just can't remember it. But she her story is that when she was a very, very young girl, like I think they said she was probably like 4 or 5 years old, she had a disease that is basically a what's it called? It's basically a degenerative disease where your body slowly shuts down and you basically just die. And so, based on the timeline of when that was happening, what they were doing is for people who had that disease, they basically went through a process where they would pull the brain and the heart of that person out of that body and they would put it in a machine, which is basically an android. And the idea is that the brain and the heart, I'm pretty sure it's the heart. Like, it's not just the brain, it's the brain and the heart, if I remember correctly. And the brain and the heart that they take out of that body that is dying from the degenerative disease controls the android. So they basically, and that's like the main character. The main character is basically a full-bodied android, and the only part of her that is human is her brain and her heart, and that's it. So, and that's a major, major important point of the storyline in that series and in the movie, is if the only thing about her that's human is her brain and her heart, is she still a human? Like, and it's fascinating because like she was like that when she was about 4 or 5 years old, and she had to like learn how to cope with a robotic body. Like, she didn't have a human body since she was like 4 or 5 years old, and she had to like learn how to like grow into living, like having her brain and her heart only in a robotic body. And what's really interesting is that if I remember correctly, based on the storyline, she was like one of the first people to ever have that experience. Like, she was one of the first people to ever have her brain and heart only put into an android body. And also because she was so young, she never got to experience life properly as a human being. So like they have like these stories about like people that are adults, they get transferred into android bodies in the same fashion. But they don't have as much experience as robots, so as androids, so they don't really have the same level of comprehension and control as she does. And the thing is, too, is that because she's basically spent her whole life in this robotic body, she basically has a form of control over that body that nobody else, like, in the story has. Like, that's why, like, they actually explain it really well. Like, for example, like, she's a master hacker in the storyline. And, her ability to hack in the way that she does is because she was forced to, like, live inside of a giant computer pretty much her whole life. So, you pumpkin spice spam? I don't know what that is. Are you just talking about pumpkin spice, like, in general? That was really random, Cinder. What are you doing? What are you doing over there? But yeah, it's very interesting. Like, I love the Ghost in the Shell series. Like, I love the original animated movie. It's fantastic. And I love the animated series as well. Like the whole animated series is amazing. Um, I was actually really sad by the way that they did the live action version of the movie. And the reason why is because the main character, like the whole thing about her being a young 4 or 5 year old child in this android body was this major impact on her life, and it literally built her into the character that she is in the storyline. And like no joke, like there are multiple plots, like because it's an episodic series, they have lots of different plots going on, and an overlying plot as well. And in the series, it's actually important that like she lived her life inside this android body. And the thing that really kind of made me upset about the live action movie with Scarlett Johansson is they told a story where she was an adult female who died, but before her body died, they put her brain in this android body. And the problem I have with that is that it robs that character of an extremely huge amount of character development for her. And it really kind of like it ruins it. Like it really does. And I mean, if I remember correctly, that movie failed horribly. Like I don't think anybody actually liked that movie. But I mean, that was the major thing that really made me upset about that movie, was that they literally robbed that character of all of that really important story building simply because they didn't want to tell the story of her being a young child who grew up in that body. Um, so yeah. So I'm sorry to say that I think that this is the only progress I'm going to be able to make on our time walk today. And I feel like we actually got a good amount of stuff done. Like I managed to get the clock started. So basically next time when we come back, because it's about 2 hours now, so I'm ready to kind of end this off. Next time when we come back, we will start working on the skeletal muscular character who is going to be. I'm going to make him on this side because I have the minute hand over here. So I'm going to have him on this side pulling the hand, the hour hand down. Um, and we'll also put in the landscape down here at the bottom. And we'll also do the whole uh, the nightscape over here and the sunrise over here. And it'll be a lot of fun. Like, I'm really excited about it. I think that this is turning out really well. I definitely feel like that as I've been going along, adding more details, it's getting nicer and nicer instead of just being that awkward brown stripe that we started with. So, um, once again, I just want to say thank you all so much for being here. Like, I'm really glad to have you all a part of my channel. It's been amazing so far. I'm glad to have 50 subscribers. You guys rock. I didn't think I was going to get this big this quickly, and I really do feel like that this has been a very fast level of progression for my channel, which is awesome. Like that's huge. Like I love it. So I just wanted the whole point of this was to celebrate having 50 subscribers. So I'm glad to have you all out here enjoying this. And this piece will be continued as the 50 subscriber special will continue until this piece is finished. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and do the normal stuff I say, which is if you're not already subscribed, please subscribe. The next goal is 100 subscribers. So let's go ahead and make it into 100 subscribers, and then we'll do a special for that as well. So if you're not subscribed already, go ahead and subscribe. To get notifications when my streams are happening, go ahead and click that bell. I have some information in the description below. Join my Discord channel, which I actually post all my streams on. So yeah, join the Discord channel. It is literally the same name as the channel name itself. Feel free to check out my DeviantArt. I know I keep saying I'm going to update it. I know I haven't been updating it. I'll get there eventually, I'm sorry. But you can see all my past artwork on there, which is really cool. I also have a P.O. box now, so if anybody wants to send me mail, go for it. If you want to request a commission, you can actually send me cards in the mail for the purpose of commissioning them. I highly suggest, though, that you contact me in Discord before doing so. But if you want to send me something just for the hell of sending me something, by all means, that's cool. I'm cool with it. I also have a PayPal account in the description below. So that is for the purpose of people requesting commissions and paying me for doing so. Also, if you want to donate, that is greatly appreciated. Most of the money that I've been getting from my donators, I've been spending on the channel. It helped me to buy my camera. The next thing I'm looking into is to buy a nice lighting setup so that I can have decent lighting in here without there being glare. So that'll probably be the next major purchase I make. So any donations for that is greatly appreciated. Do not feel obligated to do so, though. I just appreciate you guys watching my material, so thank you so much. I'm pretty sure that's pretty much it. So I'm not 100% sure if I'll be able to do a stream tomorrow, but I'm kind of like aiming towards it. I will let people know in the Discord tomorrow whether or not I will be able to do so, but I'm really hoping that I'll be able to continue this tomorrow. So, yeah, thank you guys all so much for coming out. I want to say goodbye to all you guys. Let's see, who is this? Oh, I didn't realize Michael's Magic came in, and now it's already over. I'm sorry, man. Goodbye, Clayton. Goodbye, Michael's Magic. Goodbye, Wrath of Wood. Cinder Shadow, if you're still here, greatly appreciate you. Greatly appreciate Mike. All you guys rock. James Pionk. I'm so glad I got to have you guys in here for my 50 subscriber special, and we'll do it again very, very soon. So, take it easy, guys, and all I like to say, which is what I love to say at the end of all my streams, follow your dreams, guys, because they will get you to where you need to be. Alright, take it easy, guys. Alright, get ready for work, James Pionk. Good to see you, Cinder. I will be in your stream tonight if you're having a stream. Expect me in there. Alright, guys, take it easy. Peace out, Bo. Love you, man.